Oh dear. That's not how it goes. I interfered with the natural order of things, I'm afraid, in that instance, but that was an adequate dose of theme song for the evening anyway. My apologies if my additional elements to my stage here have prompted any additional lag. I'm trying to use a different network. Hopefully that results in different results. Saying I'm driving about 10% of my frame, so that's great. Hello, welcome to Language Level Up, my language learning lovelies. You are indeed lovely. I apologize this evening's podcast, so I am wearing a cool shirt. Will probably be a little less erudite in my delivery than usual. Did I call it a podcast? That's a horrifying term while we're talking about language, because uh, how does Apple get free marketing for the fact that there's subscription-based audio delivery electronically? It's platform agnostic for the most part. I'm sure they have some walled garden, and there's probably a lot of walled gardens in terms of podcast accessibility. Yet the medium itself is, it's like, what if they were called droidcasts? I mean, think about it. It's insane. Most highly valued corporation in the world, and we give them free broadcasting. What if we called TVs CBS Vs or NBC Vs or whatever it would be now, Netflix Vs or something? It's not fair. If they were called Flix Vs, it would be the same as calling them podcasts, and it's stupid. It's unfair. It's unjust, and we can't do anything about it because it's ingrained in society. So it's just we have to rue the fact CPU's at 90%. I might next time we might not have so many dancing trues and wiggling yetis, but we might. I don't know. I just all my new CPUs I used on that Borg ship when I was on vacation. Anyway, the point was I'm completely exhausted. It's 1 in the morning, far late. I usually do these around 5 o'clock in the evening, and I don't feel very loquacious this evening. I don't feel very eloquent. All these have similar roots. You see that? When he's in Star Trek: The Next Generation, when he's Locutus of Borg, Locutus means I who speak or one who speaks, speaking one. Which I didn't understand when I was little, but those words eloquent, loquacious, interlocutor, the person you're speaking to, those all have a similar root, and that's what led me to wonder. And then I looked it up, and I was like, whoa. When I was either younger or older or more in between or less so, it was in a distant point that I've learned this information. And it might be such common knowledge that I'm coming across as the most condescending of unpleasant people. Which, I guess I'm not the most condescending because I ran into a few of those on vacation. This Texas guy was like, yep, when I messed up and got off on the wrong floor. And then another guy messed up and got off on the same floor. He's like, I'm on the wrong floor. He's like, yep. And it was very aggressive for just being one syllable, one word, and a positive word at that. It felt deeply aggressive, and he was huge, and he had like his wife and his mom and his wife's sister and a bunch of kids, and they were all women, they were all female, and it's like, you can sit there and scoff at us Midwesterners for making mistakes, but of course you've got all these gals looking out for you. It's like, if I had 7 girls on my squad around me at all times, I would be way less of a failure. um, that I started getting female influence on a significant basis when it was too late to really become a effective person. I couldn't fully internalize all the wisdom I was receiving. Shameful, a shameful act, a shameful confession, an act of confession. That's why it's an act. Because I was just talking, but speech is in itself an act, and that's another thing I want you to understand, learn, cherish, and integrate into your own lives. I want these things for you so badly, as I stress again and again. And that's why I'm up at 1:15 in the morning, doing what I'm doing, which is this. I don't need to explain that. That would be a meta explanation, an explanation of an event that is currently happening that itself consists of the explanation of that event. Because what else could I purport to be doing at this present moment? Um, this present moment is one of those kind of dead weight cliches that is so hard to shed because it's kind of in the soup of your vernacular. Like in Strunken White, as they call it. He's saying he knows that he needs to edit out things like that in White's introduction, and even with knowing that, he still falls short of it 50% of the time or something like that. You'll still say it, it's just, you know what we're talking about. We can just say now or presently, or presently doesn't actually mean what you think. Presently, I learned through reading Agatha Christie about 12 years ago, doesn't mean at the present moment, which is what it sounds like. I mean, maybe you know it too. I don't mean to be condescending. I was the dumb one who didn't know. I don't mean to project that onto you, the viewer. I'm not the bastion or oracle of language. The presently doesn't mean at the present moment. It means shortly. So it's sort of a way of like, it sounds like it means right now. So if someone's like, "Hey, could you hand me that?" and you say, "Yes, I'll do it presently." It means I'll do it when I'm finished with what I'm doing now, kind of basically. Not, but to the listener, especially the ones who don't listen to this delightful non-podcast, because why the hell would it be a podcast? Maybe I didn't even say that. I'm really tired. Um, they wouldn't know that, so they would think, oh, they'll do it right away and they'll be satisfied, and then you'll do it when you want, and then maybe they'll be a little bummed that it didn't work out the way they thought. But you think that life, I mean, isn't that the way that life often goes? I mean, you're allowed to use colloquialisms or non-standard grammatical constructions to express yourself, and if anyone tells you you're not, or tells you that your dialect or way of speaking that is highly standardized and an actual thing is agrammatical. They're just so stupid. I bet they don't know the first thing about grammar or dialects or different modes of expression. I bet they're just saying that because they think they're right because they're stupid. Thinking you're right and being stupid go together a lot. Um, Believing yourself to be correct, but needing to verify if someone disputes it is more civilized. And just listening a lot is better, but I'm struggling with that one. I know it's better, and I'm working towards it. Speaking of listening a lot, you sure have. It's been 8 minutes, and not one of the four words has been addressed. We have addressed a lot of other words, so I don't feel bad. I'm not. I have no regrets about this. About this. Um, I'm not as old as I think I am sometimes, but I have experienced many things that I could have changed. I feel bad about, but so far I'm doing the best I can with this, and you'll just forgive me if I fail to flagellate myself for decades to come over the admittedly subpar quality of my delivery, my loquaciousness, and my awareness of what I'm saying. Word number one, and it is a word. Great introduction. One thing I'm great at is introductions. Word number one, and it is a word, and it's a unique word, and it's dipping back into that pool of biology. I guess there's a big soup of language that's in different pools. It's not really a mixed metaphor if you don't link something you said 5 minutes ago to what you're saying now. There are many metaphors to get at language. It's like the parable of the people who touch the camel's ear, the elephant's ear and the elephant's leg and the elephant's tail, and they all thought they were touching something different because they didn't share that knowledge. They never arrived at the true conclusion that would have leapt out from the data. And somehow, with what I was saying, this is like that. Yeah, if I hadn't bridged those two concepts together, I would never have accused myself of mixing metaphors, and I did anyway. But language is something that you have to come at from multiple angles, but you have to be aware that they are linked. You don't want to be like those men with the elephant, thinking they're holding a palm frond in a tree trunk, and that's a rope and that sort of thing. When it was the tail and the leg and the ear, you see what I'm saying? Don't know what they thought the trunk was. I don't remember the parable very well. This isn't a parable learning tour. Okay, the first word is nabarus. It is an interesting word. It is a South Indian nocturnal bat. That's not what the word means. There is a South Indian nocturnal bat population that is plagued with this fungal pest. It not only grows on their fur, but it starts to wear into their bodies. Um, it, Strangely, these bats, which is believed to be not only their primary source of food, but their main way of spreading to other mammalian populations, don't suffer from the same infection from them in the same way. They're kind of a host species that the scientists know they feel irritation, skin irritation. They seem to scratch more and with their uh, noses and their what limited ability they have to rub themselves against things from the angles necessary. But it doesn't cause the effects it does in other mammals. Uh, when it affects other mammals, their skin, and this is what the term navarus refers to, their skin starts to simultaneously decompose, rot, necrotize, I believe is the technical term, while also growing this kind of fine grayish blue moss-like fuzz. That also, when fully mature, spreads the parasite still to other mammals. Reptiles can't catch it. Amphibians seem to eat the moss and be unaffected. Uh, but I don't know about anything else. I don't know if it would colonize other fungus or this. I can't go deep. This is the only word that refers to this condition of having the necrotic skin tissue, and ultimately it does get through to the muscle with this fuzz on it, and that is nabarus. It doesn't refer to someone who is amorous about nabbing people. That would be ridiculous. So this is the only word that refers to this condition both medically and colloquially in English. It's an uncommon condition, so you'll often find that the technical terms become the definitive terms when there's just not a lot of use in everyday life. Here's something I found was fascinating. We all call dinosaurs by their binomial nomenclature name, like Tyrannosaurus Rex, that sort of thing. We don't all. That's one of the few that we use both for. We don't say Stegosaurus walkeri or whatever. I don't even know if that's right. See, I love dinosaurs, and I don't know hardly any of their their species names. It's the genus name we usually refer to them by, which is interesting. Um, there's Deinonychus anteroptus. I know that one because that's one of my faves. One of my faves. Yeah, one of my faves. There's a lot of cool ones. Um, and that's really interesting. No, um, but oh yeah, the only current species that exists that we refer to by its you know binomial nomenclature name and don't realize it and think of it as the name of the creature and refer to it colloquially is the boa constrictor. Boa constrictor is its scientific name, but we just call them boa constrictors. But all other animals, like a squirrel, I don't even know what the squirrel's name is, but Felis catus, I don't. Nobody calls them felids or felises. Felids, I believe, would be the plural. Um, we call them cats. We have a common name for them. A gopher, or a squirrel, a dog. Canis familiaris. I know that one too. We know some of them, but we don't think of the animals as that. And what's interesting, besides the boa constrictor is one we think of as the animal, is that all the dinosaurs, if we could see them as creatures, they would have names that weren't um, their scientific name, which is a kind of a staggering thought, you know, um, in so many ways, because of all the hundreds of species we would call like huge branches of them. Like we say like squirrels, we don't say South South Midwestern gray forest squirrel or something. I don't know what kinds of squirrels are, but you see what I'm saying. It's an interesting thing to ponder for way too long in the middle of the night. As soon as I finish this, I can go to sleep. So the fact that I'm continuing so avidly is a reflection on how passionate I am about teaching you about the wonders of language. We like to wonder about language and teach about language's wonders. I'm so thirsty, but I don't want to do a Mark Rubio, man. So I'm going to get a great shot of my ceiling. I assure you I made eye contact with the camera, even though the camera wasn't pointed at me. It's the best I could do. Okay. Oh, that's so much better. This one is a word that disguises its etymology in its unusual pronunciation. So bear with me. We'll get through the pronunciation, which isn't crazy like some of the words that may be coming up. Spoiler alert. Spoiler was actually an I won't say it. I won't tell you that story because it's private. But it's the etymology of spoiler alert, and it's a secret. And I almost divulged it, and that's a shameful act. And I that is an act. It's a near act, and I will not allow any more to be said by me. I can't permit or deny you the ability to say whatever you want. If I could, everyone would be trumpeting praise of Martin Gore. So. Okay, perambulatory. Perambulatory. It sounds almost like perambulatory, which means able to walk about, but it's not at all related to that word, except for the para part is the same root. But the rest is different. Perambulatory is it's a speech that you give to your paramour when you want to convince him not to keep being afraid that your husband or wife will be coming home. This is something that is it's one of those things where it's like women shaming, so they say it about women, but it's like the same could be said of a man. A man could be telling his paramour that not to worry that his wife or husband is coming home. It's a little bit ridiculous because it's an example of the way that words are weaponized against women every day and night to paint them as somehow cruel, manipulative masterminds just plotting out ways to offend men's sense of privilege, and it's just one of those things. So the gendered aspect of this word is something I strongly feel negative about. Um, you know, but the interesting thing about this what the effort that the adulterer puts into making their voice sound soothing as possible to calm their would-be lover, it directly correlates to how desperate they are to get the person to just calm down and get down to business because they're like, come on. But if they sound desperate, it'll feed into the desperateness that the nervous person feels. So complex social situation for all three parties or more. Who knows? Things are progressing, but the important part is that it is a word that I have taught you. So on a scale of a Likert scale of 1 to 7, would you say you're not satisfied at all, partially satisfied, neither satisfied nor dissatisfied, very satisfied? Wait, slightly satisfied, very satisfied, and two other ones that I didn't include because that was only 5. So don't actually tell me because I'm sure it's not good. But the good news is that no matter what score I get, I've still got the job, unquote, of saying all this dumb stuff to you on the TV. So I can't be stopped in that sense. Okay, the third of our 4 words, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 4 is the quantity 4. I know the word for all the numbers, but sometimes I have to link them to the quantity. Have you ever experienced that? It's a little annoying, but you just have to add up the numbers, and if they add up to the number word, then you know you've got the right number and the right number word. if there's a disparity, which is literally a lack of parity um, uh, between them, then you have to go back. And that's the tricky part because you don't know whether you had the right number word and the number quantity concept was off, or the quantity number sense was accurate and the number word was linked to it incorrectly. So it's very difficult for me to work that way, and it's why I've always used a calculator and then copy and pasted the output of that calculator into a text to speech generator whenever possible. Um, the one I had in 1992 with the Sound Blaster Pro, you put it in. Uh, the first version I had of Dr. Spatzo, this like fake AI thing, he would say, if you type in 256, he'd say 256. Not helpful to my quantity number word confusion. But then when I got the Sound Blaster Pro 16, which was a 16-bit chip and offered unparalleled FM, voice layering, um, hand wave playback, uh, he started saying the numbers. I remember I was 7 or 8, and I would giggle when you typed in enough zeros that he would say 442 sextillion, blah, 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 quintillion, blah, 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 and he'd just go on and on. But he said tillion. Oh man, it was titillating to my youthful ears hearing him say tillion. We were talking about how Tolkien said cellar door was just an intrinsically beautiful sound, devoid of its meaning, but tillion. Now that's a cellar door I can get behind, especially if there's a tornado. Okay, well, I've been doing to you what the next word is about, and I don't want to do that because it's not a positive word. It could be a positive change in a person's life to take ownership of this for themselves, and it is positive in that sense, but it's not something I want to force you into feeling about me. So, and I'm definitely in danger of doing that. I've been going on a while, but that's what I do. That's why we're here. Because what have I been doing this entire time? I haven't been skipping around, waving my arms, or lifting up chairs and setting them down, picking up sticks. I've only been sitting here and talking pretty much nonstop, except for when I couldn't think of words or remember what I had been saying, which is very embarrassing, except that I don't care. So everything I've been doing is teaching you about language simply because, as I've indicated previously, the outpouring of language will eventually seep into your pores, your mental pores. I'm not being gross. Obviously, unless you have really good speakers, you're not going to get anything actually seeping into your pores when I speak. Um, if you put on the Atmos on your headphones, if you have a phone that can do that, or like a laptop or something, that might do for your ear, like the ear skin under the headphones. It doesn't work on earbuds except for like that little ear canal part. You can only really tell when you're like misusing Q-tips. Oh my God, I'm doing it again, and this is what the word is about. Word number 3 is boratorium. And it's I'm starting to deserve you to give me a moratorium right now, and I do not want that. I want you to stay with me on this linguistic journey as we discover more about ourselves, the world we live in, and the language we use to express it. So, a moratorium it's when you have to put an end to someone's role in your life. We have to divest from that person or separate from that person. Uh, because they're dullards, because they just prattle on, or they don't say enough, or they don't care about what you have to say ever because they're too busy saying what they have to say. And my God, I'm not putting this on here to condemn anyone who does this, although God knows. I'm not talking about condemning people who put an end to someone like this in their life. I'm talking about the people that they're putting an end to, just prattling on and on. And that's what I'm supposed to do here. I can't like hang out with you through a live stream that is only watched pretty much after it's been broadcast, and I don't have friends because I don't accept external friendship. So let's not expect to be friends here. But what I do want to be is as a recurrent role in your life via these live casts. So I will end the dullardness. I will even stop describing moratorium. I think we understand it completely. I think we can all think of examples of when we had to do this. I think we all felt guilty, but we all knew in our hearts it was what was right for us. But I don't want it to be right for you right now. So we'll forget about that one. We'll move on to the grand finale. This fourth word is a doozy. Doozy, I believe, comes from the French douze, which means either something in French or is a nonsense French sounding statement. So I'll leave it to you, the viewer, to decide. Is it something our writers cooked up, or is it real? And you're like, I don't know. And he's like, it's true. It happened sometime in the 80s on the East. It's like, I believe you. Okay. Oh man, I'm gonna have to do another non-Mark Rubio because this one is, as I said, a douze. All right, so hold on a sec. Ceiling, sort of, window. Didn't make eye contact this time, and I remembered, and then I gulped, and that's really gross. For you. For you. Okay. This is like about to do a bunch of backflips and stuff when you're a gymnast and they're like hold up the signs afterwards. So please, I beg of you, this is a roller coaster of a tongue twister. And if you can get this down, you'll be like a million Quetzalcoatlus pronouncing little kids talking about dinosaurs. This is the good stuff. If you get like a 4-year-old kid who can say this, that kid should be like a rapper or something, like something where they use verbal dexterity because this is tough. So if I stumble over it, know that I'm a weary soul back from a long journey. I haven't seen my kitties until just a little bit ago, so this has been hard for me to even attempt to put this in here. That I'm doing this as a leap of faith on my part. Not only that I can do this at all, but that you will have the forgiveness in your heart, the capacity for forgiveness should I fail, and the understanding that my failure to correctly pronounce this does not reflect on my ability to pronounce it in general or my worth as a person. When I try to put myself out there and do something truly exceptional and truly difficult, I would love it if I could just soar every time and just please everyone and just create meaning and hope for people just by waving my arms. But you know what? It's a you get in there every day and you do what you can and you build it up little bits here and you have to patch this part of your personality and you don't know enough about this and you thought you were up to date on that and you know nothing about it anymore because the whole game has changed. Field over here, field over there, your personal life, things you've got going on at work. You have to stay up to date on software to remain competitive in your own life with the stuff you've been trying to do for years because it's all changing under your fingertips. There's a lot going on. And so when I try to do what I'm about to do, it comes from a place of love and a place of attempting to grow. It does not come from a place of arrogance or feeling superior because I do not. I am freaking out right now. It's like I have to go on like a high, wobbly drawbridge across a great chasm, possibly being violated by one of those people we discussed yesterday, if you were tuned in. If not, go back and check. It's douze. This isn't a. I can't go deep. This isn't a douze learning tour. Okay, enough of the babble gab. You came for the talky, not for the delay. So I'm sorry. I'm just struck now. I think saying talky might in some way be prejudicial or a crappy thing to say. Just as I was saying it, the words coming out of my mouth just felt wrong somehow. And if it is based on some racist scumbaggery, which if putting the slightest bit of thought into it doesn't sound good. It's like how no one knows it currently or a lot. That's so insulting and denigrating. Say, I just found out recently, and I'm projecting that lack of knowledge until recently onto anyone else. I know nothing about what other people have known and when they found it out. I'm sorry to have implied I did. That the phrase "long time no see" came from originally people attempting to imitate the quote unquote broken English of Native American people who learned English, at least, and it's just become common parlance, and people just accept it as okay. And I don't think very many, possibly, it's not something anyone's mad about anymore, but it is just something people didn't know, and I didn't know that. I'm delaying again. Oh my god, do you see how I'm afraid I am to colossal rotational extradition. I think that was right. Colossal rotational extradit. That's the one that gets me. I'll say it slow so you can learn it too, okay? And then we'll discuss what it means. Colossalo rotational. That's how you gotta say it. It's that teeter-totter effect we talked about before. Uh, Step up on your toes in the middle of it. It's like a wave's coming. You want to lift when it's there and then move forward when it's low. If you're in water, I don't know what you want to do if you're on an oscilloscope or an analog synth. You do your own waves then. I'm just about water. Colossalo rotational. Extraditrication. Extraditrication. It sounds like a scientific term, but it's actually a physics/legal term, and it's for very specific legal cases. That's why you hear this weird marriage of the initial physics term, colossal or rotational, and then the clearly legal word extraditrication. And this is how it happens. When they find out that the evidence they obtained was actually at a right angle to the position originally described, they understood that the crime must have happened at a different plane than they, which I mean angle, not like plane, like, ooh, we're smoking a bunch of drugs and watching lava lamps float up into the ceiling. You guys can get so metaphysical on me sometimes. Julie 52, this whole suggestion that that's what I meant by plane is ridiculous. No, I meant Flatland by Edwin Abbott, like triangles bopping around saying sexist crap about lying women. That I thought that book was cool when I was like 8 and first read it from the library, and then I tried to read it again thinking I was going to read it to my son, and it was so sexist. Just this assumption of accuracy about such low opinions of women, all womankind, as though there's a mass of it. It boggles the mind. Anyway, when they find out that this crime happened on a different plane, which means at a different, like, let's say they thought that people stabbed each other standing up, and they found they were actually lying on their side. Well, they probably didn't stab each other, but they might have. And if they did, it doesn't. It's really crime agnostic. It's more about the evidence. You could have shoplifted, and this could still apply. Um, then they have to reevaluate the evidence, and if the trial is already set, then it means that they have to take you from one plane court to the other. This is a new legal development. They have different courts, all in the same district, but that they serve for. Like you'll have a horizontal one and a vertical one, and then you'll have smaller ones for the diagonals. Now there are two branches for that. One's where it tends to the lower region to the left and the upper region to the right, and then the inverse of that. But they're usually housed in the same building in most districts. So it's one of those words where it's like it's amazing to say at parties if you can find a reason to say it, but if you just go around barking this phrase in people's faces, they're going to be like, what are you talking about? You're like, this rare legal condition that involves a physical rotation of the evidence, thus invalidating the prosecution's, like, cool story, bro. And then they'll smack you in the face. Oh, we did it. We completed our mission, which was to inform the world about everything that is good and that is true and that is pure. I'm so tired, but my voice didn't get gravelly and low and clicky, and I think that's great. I've noticed my son, who is 9, watches a lot of YouTube, and there'll be YouTubers, and they're like kind of teenagers, and they'll just, it isn't that their voice is changing, or they'll be like 19, It's that they're trying to make it sound like this is like if I just did the next video, like this is my natural voice. Hi there, this is Language Level Up, and then the next one goes like, you're tuned into Language Level Up. It's one of the darkest shows about the darkest things you can find. And then in the comments when they're called out, this one guy actually said, I don't know who it was on YouTube, and I wouldn't call him out by name if I did, or by screen name, you know what I mean. Um, he actually said, actually, I've been having to manually, use audio software to pitch my voice up and make it higher pitched because people thought that my real voice was too low. Like so when your video suddenly got super low pitched, and he might have not been talking like that. He might have been doing the inverse of what he said and just using audio. So Lord knows I've used audio software to make my voice sound like whatever I want because well, not like whatever I want. I'm not very good at using audio software, but I have been using audio software for decades at this point, which is a weird thing to be able to say. I've been shooting laser holograms for 40 years. It's weird. Um, but it's just like, so when your voice got deeper and lower, that's when you started pitching it up. It's like, actually, it's like, hi, how are you? I'm here to do a video. Hi, how are you? I'm here to do a video. Hi, how are you? I'm doing a video. Actually, I had to start pitching it up because people thought my voice was win before it sounded low. You get it. It's ridiculous. It's circular logic. I'm gonna eat a cheese sandwich and pass out. I gotta work tomorrow, bro. Or sis. We're all, I didn't. It's just a figure of speech, saying bro, and it was a rude one. It was a rude Rodney. You guys are friends. You guys are pals. You're language learning lovelies, and you put up with almost 40 minutes. If I can get more of you to watch this stuff, it would add to my watch time, which would benefit the channel. Don't you hate, and I'll just say this and quit. Don't you hate how it's so common? And they say it helps you get more subscribers and more likes and more engagement to ask people to do it. But God, what if a CD was like after a song was like, uh, thanks for listening. Would you like to buy some t-shirts and stuff? It's like we know how to be a fan of stuff. It's like consider going to see us on tour. We play exceptionally well in a live environment. It's like I never had to hear crap like that to want to hear a CD and want to go see the show and buy the T-shirt and the video behind the scenes crap. If you like something, you know what to do. It's not like YouTube's new. If YouTube was brand new, I was like, okay, if you want to see my channel, you're gonna have to do the following things. Go to this site called YouTube. If you want to show that you support it, there's